Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Team Mosso at the1916company.com for all your purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Well, you're talking about a plank owner today. Saxonia was part of the original series of A. Lange Sohne watches launched at the resurrection of the company's model line back in 1994. Risen from the ashes of communism, East German watchmaking was really spearheaded by two companies in the early 90s. One, Glashütte Original, which was evolved from the old GUB, collectivized communist watch factory, and which was the original A. Lange Sohne and its legal successor. The other company, A. Lange Sohne, as you see here, resurrected by the last watchmaking scion of the old Lange family, Walter Lange, and his primary business partner, Günter Blümlein, a famed German watch executive. So, from 1994 to the present, almost everything we know about watch design in Germany and watch finish from Germany has been set, at least from an expectation standpoint, by Lange. So revolutionary was its approach to watch design and movement finish standards. But the Saxonia was there at the very beginning as the simplest of the charter members of the Lange collection. And that's what we have right here, the Saxonia. 37 millimeters in diameter in white gold, really gray gold, more on that in a moment. It's thin, at 8.3 millimeters thick and 42.9 millimeters as I measure it from lug to lug, with a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. This watch is sized and proportioned as though it were a 1990s dress watch, which means today, in the 2020s, this is really a unisex watch. It's for him, it's for her, it's for me, it's for you, it's for everyone. It fits well on a small wrist. It's flat enough to slide easily under a dress sleeve. You can see down the barrel, even pulling this unbroken in strap tight. The lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist, and again, over the top, exaggerating the width of the watch from this angle, you can still see the lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist, which is why I recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. Gray gold. It's a white gold that's white all the way through, never needs to be rhodium plated, and if it gets a scratch, it's the same color all the way through. That's critical. Lange makes a very smart pin buckle, not because it's gray gold, though it is, but because it has two unique features, or two features that I value. Now, it's made by Broglie of Switzerland, but to Lange's specifications, which means we have an elevated bridge so the strap sits in the buckle rather than stacking up underneath the buckle. See what I mean? It sits in there, flat on the wrist. There's also this little retaining bar, so if you're like me and you have a small wrist, and if you have a watch this size, you may very well have a small wrist, you put the strap in there. You know that a watch tightly strapped can get pinned on the pin, but this little retaining bar prevents the strap from sinking too far down on the pin. So if it's really tightly strapped, that little retaining bar will make it easier to extricate the watch from your wrist. Now the strap itself, high grade, large rectangular scale, symmetrical scale alligator leather, which is a very premium and expensive cut of the beast. Matte black. We have a edge that is folded. We have a monotone stitch, and on the bottom, black calfskin, a brand new Lange factory strap, no crimping, no gouging. Taking a look at the case, we have something that's not universal on Lange watches, which is a brushed midsection. Some are all polished, some have a brushed midsection. This is of the latter. What we do have, though, are the nearly universal Lange stepped lugs. Günter Blümlein, him again, thought that the company needed something unique. And so the stepped lug was his idea. So you have this little notch between the lug profile and the case. The lugs themselves are of polish. You can see there's a very fine bevel on their side. It's sort of a soft bevel. We have a Lange branded crown. The case back is stepped inward, so look at that. See how it's stepped in from the edge? That makes the watch read a lot thinner than it really is when it's on the wrist. It's thin, but it looks impossibly thin. And then we've got this brushed contrast with a bezel that is a very short vertical lip before it transitions to a domed profile. The dial, well, we have more gray gold, indices and hands, so they will never tarnish or oxidize or discolor with time. The dial base, though anthracite gray and matte finished, the dial is actually made of sterling silver. Pull the crown out, you can see we've got a stop seconds function, so you can set this watch to a reference time. Lovely alpha style hands at center. The indices are doubled at the quarters, so 12, 3, 6, and 9. Then on the back, big part of the reason why people love Lange. Warm, attractive, and one might even say revolutionary finish, because it was not a given in the early 90s that a modern wristwatch German movement should look like a pocket watch caliber, but Lange decided it should, and thus drew on the best traditions of early 20th century and 19th century East German watchmaking in the state of Saxony. So we have a 3/4 bridge, we have a freehand engraved balance cock, we have a black polished steel swan's neck regulator, we have this material, German silver, not silver, but a nickel copper zinc alloy with the copper giving it that golden hue, as would have been used on pocket watches. You can also see little golden cups holding the pivot jewels rather than pressing the jewels directly into the bridges. This chaton setting system would have been used on pocket watches back when it was very difficult to precisely set a jewel into a bridge. You would create a precision golden cup and then fit that to the bridge or plate held in place using screws. And the screws are blued, but they're also polished. As you can see, this watch contains both mirror finished screws and kiln fire blued screws. We have Streifen or stripes. They're not Côte de Genève. We're not in Switzerland. We have a mirrored bevel on the edge of the bridges. There aren't many edges to these bridges, but what's there is beautiful. The freehand engraving on the balance cock, done without any kind of an engine or a guide. Eye-hand coordination, artisanal, no two exactly alike. You could see that we have engine turning on the base plate in 2 different sizes. And then this lovely mirror-finished swan's neck in the adjustment index with a black polished or mirror-finished cap to the escape wheel. Manual wind, 45-hour power reserve, stop seconds. It has a 3 hertz beat rate, so 21,600 vibrations per hour. This is all water resistant to 30 meters, but I recommend you not swim with it. 5-position adjustment, which is the high horology and chronometer standard, and it all pivots on 21 jewels. You can also see here we have FT on the case, that is FTOR, and you can always tell who makes the Lange cases. It's either FTOR, Centaur, or SUG. So this is FTOR, which is a company I believe is associated with the Richemont firms, which makes sense since Lange is part of the Richemont family, but it also makes sense because you can see a Swiss hallmark on this German watch. That's because the case factory, FTOR, is located in Switzerland, so that's why you have that little disparity. A very cool watch, a lovely piece, a universally appropriate dress watch for any wrist size, any taste, any collection, male or female. If you love it, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.